Rob Leonard has been promoted to the defensive coordinator position in Las Vegas with the Raiders.
Come from your heart, because that's who the I am, that's how I operate. You guys with me? Tunnel vision like we talked about all day. That's it.
Robbie deserves all the credit. You know, he's put in the work, like you said. You know, his unit, the D-line, has performed well since he's been here.
One of the best coaches I've been around. We ended up, being a top 10 defense, and that's what we want to be. We want to be one of the best defense. We want to be great.
I feel like I've always been meant to be a Raider.
Hey, I want to welcome in my man, Rob Leonard, new defensive coordinator for the Las Vegas Raiders. Man, thanks for joining us, man. I know it's been a whirlwind going on here, but we're just gonna kind of break it down a little bit, talk about your origin story, where it all started, but we're really glad to have you here. You've been on the staff for a couple years now, but let's talk a little bit about where it all started for you as far as being at NC State, right? First as a golfer.
No, that was way back when I just didn't think I was big enough to play college football. So, and it's a whole long story, but my dad moved to North Carolina in high school, and I would actually play football and live in Pittsburgh with my mom, and then I'd transfer in January and go live with my dad in an apartment outside this little public course in high school, and I would play golf in the spring and lift weights for football. And then I did that 3 years in a row. I never went to the same school, so it was wild. And then I had a breakout senior year of football because A.Q. Shipley was one of my best friends. He's now on the McAfee show. He was like the 5-star recruit. So he goes, "Hey, you want to go to Penn State with me as a invited walk-on, for a game?" We stayed with Paul Puzlesny.
What?
Yeah, and then I got to go to Notre Dame, Ohio State with him. I'm like, all right, this is what I want to do.
Awesome.
So that's where, that was kind of the beginning of the end of the golf thing. And then went to NC State because my head coach, Mark Capuano, played at NC State with Chuck the Chest.
Hey guys, you got 50 gassers today. You don't like it, but you'll do it. You'll do it.
He was great. He was a Pennsylvania guy. So there was a lot of Western PA guys that went to NC State. And that was kind of how I ended up there.
Right. What position did you play?
I played corner, running back, kick return.
You're just a football player.
Football player. But I was only 190 pounds, you know. And when I walked on at NC State, they put me at corner. And I was like, and all we did was play press man. And we had a period of stock block, a period of press man, and a period of release. I was like, I got to show these dudes I can do something, or they're never going to take me seriously. You know what I mean? And I literally would put myself into the game. I remember we did a live goal line period. I just put myself, said, "Hey, the coach said you're out." Come in. I put myself in. They're like, what the heck is this kid doing in there? Just put myself, and then I learned you learn the basic fundamentals, of playing. Like if it was a 7-yard, if I thought he was going deep, I'm on top, I'm bailing in the hell.
There you go.
I mean, you know this. I was like, I'm not getting beaten on the 9 ball.
Right.
And then I'll live for and so then after that first year, actually got into a game at corner. They put me on scholarship, moved me to safety. Then I only played in sub package. I would go in as safety. And then they moved me my senior year to linebacker. I said, I'm transferring. I said, I'm transferring. I'm going to App State. I said, because I'm like, I weigh 200 pounds. I'm going to play linebacker. And so they made me this field linebacker. I was a nickel over. This is where I actually started my senior year. Nickel, inside backer, overhang, outside backer. Willie Young was the defensive end. Nate Irving was the inside backer. And we were all, Willie Young protected me as that 6 technique, so I could play on the edge. But that experience from going boom, boom to the front, has been very beneficial and just in terms of played it in application in my mind of going through that process of what you're asking players to do. It's a unique experience, but it's been, it was a lot of fun.
That's so incredible that you're able to have experience and be able to process all of that from the corner, which, as you know, it's just a whole different beast.
Different world.
You're right, and you're processing how you're thinking about playing corner, the leverage, are you gonna get your hands on a guy, are you gonna be a physical guy, or are you gonna be a finesse guy?
That's right.
And then move to safety. It's kind of like safety is like that big brother, right? I'm gonna protect everybody, be over top, and then move down in the box.
No doubt.
And be the kind of player that I think all coordinators are looking for now, is that guy who can cover a little bit, who can create edges and be strong on the edge, be able to be in the box at times. And how did all of that really affect how you coached when you went to high school and started coaching?
Yeah, it's funny in the coaching realm. I was so convinced on being a player and reflecting now. I wouldn't have drafted me, but all I wanted to do was play now. But at the time, you couldn't tell me I wasn't good enough to be a D1 scholarship guy. I still, reflecting now, I wouldn't have gave myself a scholarship. But I'm a player at heart. That's what I want to do, and I'm very driven and motivated by how I would have wanted to be coached, how I was coached. The guys that affected me. I always think about that because it wasn't in full transparency in my heart of this is what I wanted to do. Saw the guys' lives. My mindset was I just get solely focused. I wanted to play. I was going to go play in Germany in the GFL. That's just what I want to do. And I got offered to be a graduate assistant at NC State. And my parents talked me into it. They're like, "What are you going to do? Play in Germany?" And I said, "Okay, I'll try it out." And I had a great mentor, John Tenuta, who just was on Charlie Weiss's staff at Notre Dame as the coordinator. And he goes, "You're with me." He goes, "You want to coach? Coach. You got the outside backers." He was hard on me.
Nice.
He called me he called me Coach Bozo. He said, "Hey Bozo, you got this." I mean, he's a rough around the edges would be putting it mildly. But when I say football, so I learned more football in 3 years, and all we did was run zone pressures, overloads. This taught me why, taught me the history of the game. You know why we call it this? You know why it's called NCAA?
One of those.
Look it up. Oh yeah. And made me learn different. He's just a football savant.
Right.
And just taught me a lot about the business. He was like, it's a people business. He would go, drive yourself to the combine, introduce yourself to these people. Don't ask them for a job. Just tell them you know me, and develop a relationship. I do that at the Senior Bowl. I was just being Charlie Hustle, just trying to meet people. And that's paid dividends down the road just doing that. All I did was give them a card. "Hey, this is me. I'm Rob Leonard. I work for John Tenuta. Nice to meet you." Guys will remember my name, and it's easier to have a conversation with someone when they know you don't want something from them. You just sit down and, "Hey, what's it like?" So, and then I was fortunate enough after my 3 years as a graduate assistant. So I played 4 at State, 3 as a graduate assistant, and then how I got on with the Giants. I was going to go back to Cardinal Gibbons High School because my time was up as a graduate assistant.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm going to go back to high school. And I drove down to Clemson to see my position coach, Mike Reed, who's still the corners coach there.
At Clemson?
At Clemson.
Okay.
He's still there. And I remember it was snowing. I just got married. I made like 14 grand. And it's like, "Why are you going down to Clemson?" I'm like, "I'm going to hang out with Coach and just hang out with the GAs." I was hoping there was going to be a GA job at Clemson. And he said, "Hey, I had a guy named Dave Merritt call me from the Giants looking for a young QC that knows the college game because Chip Kelly just went to the Eagles. And they wanted to know about quarterback zone read and all those type of things. I think I can get you an interview." I was like, "Man, this will be great."
Nice.
So I went up, I prepared for like 2 days, got the interview. The other guy missed his flight for the interview. I got hired on the spot.
Right on time.
And I grinded for years, and that was tough. I worked for Perry Fuel, was the first coordinator. Then Spags came in for 3 years, and then I got moved to a position coach for the last year in 18 or 17 with James Betcher, and then I went to Miami.
Okay, so all of that, and we all know Coach Coughlin has you got to come and button up and ready to go, question. Right? So did that college experience you had with your coaching staff, kind of taught you the game, get you prepared for Coach Coughlin and kind of
nothing will get you prepared for Coach Coughlin. There is so much from Tom Coughlin I've learned now, reflecting now that I'm older.
Okay.
We'll start with the consistency of who he is. I remember the first day of practice. I'm walking out to practice, and he goes, "Oh, I get it, Robbie." He goes, "Players can't wear low-cut socks, but coaches can." I'm like, "Roger that." High white tube socks it was. So every day of practice, the shirt tucked in. But then he got on JPP the next play. Then he mentioned something to Perry. He was consistent. Everybody was accountable.
Right.
In terms of, regardless how you feel about his consistency, we started off 0-6 our first year in Giants, and we finished 7-9. And the steadfast, how he was, you know, it was so consistent. I just go back to consistency to keep the team together. And that's been my experience with, you know, from John Harbaugh to Brian Flores at Miami, of keeping the, you know, to turn it around within a season. It always has been the consistency, and I'll never forget that.
Yeah, I had so many stories about Coach Coughlin when he started at Jacksonville years and years ago. I had a great friend of mine, Clyde Simmons, was a defensive edge guy, kind of older a little bit in his ways. And he would call me, he's like, EA, man, this dude, this dude just don't know what I'm about, you know. But they had a really great relationship because it was about relationships and it was about consistency. And everyone needs to be held to account. So that's awesome. So what was your NFL moment like as a coach in that area, in the Giants?
At the Giants? Grinding, so you like, you know, first year after being done at QC, I mean, that you went back for, like, I coached more as a GA than I did as a QC, and now I'm just learning, and you're just swamped with the level of detail in the NFL is what it's still football. But all of a sudden I'm getting here, oh man, from typo to this box is wrong to where are we walking through. That would just kind of hit me in the face going from college to the NFL. You know what I mean? The standard of what it should be. And so I was swimming. I was swimming the first year and getting moved. What was cool is with young QCs and young coaches is I got to move. I was with the safeties, then I went to the linebackers, then Spags came in. It was a scheme change. So I was just growing. And in the meantime, during that process, I got offered college jobs. Like Tenuta went to Virginia after my first year and offered me the linebacker job.
What?
And I was like, man, I get to be a position coach, so I could be one and done. You know what I mean? Or like 1 year QC, go back to college. And, you know, I actually replaced Al Holcomb. Al went to the Carolina Panthers to coach linebackers. That's how I got the job at the Giants. He was a quality control for Coughlin. But I wanted to be an NFL coach, you know, and I enjoyed, the Giants were so good to me and my family. My two boys were born there, and I always thought my opportunity to be a position coach was going to come there, which it did that last year, whatever it was, like I said, 17 or 18. But a quality control spot grew me more to be a coordinator than it did a position coach. You learn schematics because you're servicing the coordinator more than you're. That's how I call it. I'm doing his call sheet. I'm doing putting together the playbook. I'm helping each coach with adjustments. Hey, is that right here? No, we're going to do it like this. You're like the gopher I was like the gopher for Spags.
Right.
And then what's funny is when you become a position coach, I tell this to my staff, you got to go back in your mind of, I got to be an expert at this. You know what I mean? When I was a first-year position coach, I couldn't let go of the role I had of like the coordinator and just pour into the unit that I had. Like, what would I change my first year being a position coach outside backers? Too much scheme, not enough fundamental focus. Focus on the fundamentals and get your players better.
Right.
Do you see what I mean?
Because that's ultimately what it's about as a position guy.
That's what you're responsible for.
Yeah, right.
So you just, as long as that, and it's fine to be at both, but the best position coaches I've been around are developing players, know those guys inside and out, how they move, what they do best, what they're doing inside, outside the building. They're just pouring into their guys, and that's priority over how smart I am or what the scheme is.
What is the difference for you in being a college? Why did you decide to be a professional coach opposed to being a college guy?
It's funny, I grew up just wanting college, didn't even think about the pros. I'd say it grew on me, and chasing, I remember this, like my experience from Eli Manning and then Odell Beckham came in, you know, and I remember thinking in my head, in college everybody's in the same demographic of like age group, you know, and you have a young guy that's this crazy athlete, and I have Eli Manning, I remember talking to me, he's like talking about his financial portfolio and stuff like that. I'm like, and he's 30 some years old. I'm like, this is crazy. This guy's smarter than me. You know what I mean? But seeing a veteran player, what I'm getting at, chase a level of perfection of being the best at his craft was really intriguing to me. And being around players in the NFL that are remember we had Rhett Ellison, for whatever reason, a tight end at the Giants. And he was a pro, man, as a tight end. And just talking to him about his process and this, and I'm getting better here and this. So chasing every detail, trying to be the best at what you do, trying to push players that want to do those type of things. Not saying that doesn't happen in college, but you're still maturing, you're still figuring out who you are. It's some of the conversations I enjoy most with Max or with, you know, other players I've coached, of chasing that, whatever you want to call it, 1% of like the growth mindset, you know, that I enjoy about the NFL.
Yeah. We have a new head coach, you know, Coach Clint, and, you know, through all of the players from free agency, and you're in the books already about the upcoming draft. But the most important thing, I think, for the defensive side of the ball is a possible change to 34. And you know, I mean, it's like we have so many sub packages now that, you know, if the nickel's in, it's basically a 4-2 anyway. But talk to us a little bit about how you, personnel-wise, have to look at a club if you are talking about going to a three-man front. Yeah.
Well, like you said, 70% of the game is sub any way you cut it. So 70% of the game, everybody's in 4 down and doing the same thing and trying to accomplish it. It is what it is, whether he's a 9, a 6, whatever. But in a simple form, I mean, at the end of the day, you can play 4 guys on the line, 5 guys on the line, or 6, which is cool. And you know, if we play 5 on line and either guy could go, that's 3-4. If one guy's going, that's 4-3. So what's the difference? We're going to do what we have to do to play good football. It's kind of that simple. You know what I mean? I don't see it being a drastic change of personnel, but it is a starting point of what we will be, and we'll evolve like everybody else does.
What has it been like to coach like a great player like Maxx Crosby? I mean, you know, I talk to him all the time, you know, and he's just an incredible young man. Has had just like this phenomenal like rise. What has it been like to be a part of that and to help him reach his potential?
Just fun. I mean, just because it starts really with the person on top of being the player. It starts out with our relationship. I've learned the most in my career from players, and he would be right at the top of that list. And when I get a new player, one of my habits is I just observe before, especially a really good player. When I came in, I've had some like 3 points. Let's just fix this. I always bust his chops. Said, let's stop hitting the quarterback on 3rd and 10 on roughing the passer and giving him 1st down. Let's start there. If we eliminate that, so if we can eliminate dumb football, I said that'd be a good starting point. And so then I just observe. I observe how he moves, what he does best, and started to develop a lot of trust as he understood without me asking him of, hey, you're really good at this. Also, we're tweaking minor things, you know, rushing on the left, rushing on the right, and having high-level conversations that would be hard to have with a rookie. And it's just been fun, you know what I mean? And you better come ready every day.
That's right.
You know what I mean? You know, you have some BS meeting. Hey, that wasn't it, Ryan. That wasn't it. I can tell you were up last night. You ain't ready today. You know what I mean? Like it's the standard for everybody. I say the same thing back.
So
you know what I mean? So we teapotting today. We just have one of those days. We're just going to disrupt practice because we're teapotting. That's what we're. But you know, it's just fun.
Raider Nation. If you were to say, you know, kind of at your core, what do you want Raider Nation to know about you?
Raider Nation. I feel like I've always been meant to be a Raider. Something about being from Pittsburgh and the Raiders. You know, I remember coming here, going back to the old rivalry. I mean, the Immaculate Reception, just the whole night. Like I understood. You grow up in Pittsburgh, you understand the history of the game, and that always meant something to me. The edge, I love the dark side. It's a beautiful thing to feel like a misfit toy. I feel like I shouldn't even be here. I shouldn't even be in this position. And I'm very humble and grateful to have this position. And I don't know. I feel like I belong. I just have. Cool. You know what I mean? There's a certain mentality and play style that's expected from different organizations. And I tell the new players coming in all the time, I'm like, that silver and black's different. I said, we ain't running out there with, I'm not going to name many other colors, but it just hits different. And,
it does.
it's sometimes fun to be disliked.
Right.
You know, and that's, you know what I mean? So I love it.
Yeah,
you know, I love it. I feel like I identify a lot with, I was meant to be a Raider, being here and helping revitalize an organization to where it should be would be like, for a very purpose-driven person, that would mean a lot to me.
Yeah.
You know?
When the Raiders are on top and good, the NFL is good, man.
No question.
Really want to thank you, man, again, man.
Yeah.
It's just been a pleasure sitting down, talking to you, rapping with you, man. And just, I'm really excited about the future for you, man.
I appreciate it.
All right, man.
Thank you.